Since 1975, every 8th day of March has been set aside to mark the International Women's Day, an opportunity to acknowledge the contribution of women to the development of society. It has also become a rallying point to push for gender equality and stability, which is the agitation of women for a more inclusive society. As a member of the Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, in partnership with organizations like the United Nations Women Group and the United Nations Global Impact, hosted a symposium to mark the 2017 International Women's Day, focusing on the theme, Transcending Gender Limitations. The CEO of the Nigeria Stock Exchange, Mr. Oscar Onyema, in his opening remarks, emphasized how the exchange was supporting gender equality and the various programs it is targeting to improve it.
As a member of the Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative, the exchange takes the issues of gender equality and balance very seriously, and it is playing its part to accelerate the achievements of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 5, which seeks to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls by 2030. To support this goal, we have a female to male employees ratio of 1:2, and we're making sure-footed efforts to increase the number of women in our employment, and especially those in leadership positions. We have also launched various initiatives to support women in our employment to enable them perform optimally. We have a crèche for kids of employees till they are 18 months. We give 4 months paid maternity leave to our women, observe the industry standard of working hours for nursing mothers. We also have paternity leave for male employees so that they can support their women during one of life's many happy moments. Reinforcing our commitment to eliminate gender inequality, we will be launching an economic dividend of gender equality EDGE campaign aimed at educating our listed companies and dealing members on the significance and economic importance of bridging gender equality.
Professor Bolanle Awe, the first Nigerian female professor of history, in her keynote spoke on issues around gender equality and the need for gender integration in the country.
We can certainly transcend gender limitations. We have numbers, we have the competence at all levels, and women are tremendous market women, facilitating the distribution of the commodities which find their way to the markets. Africa has also been described as the land of female farming. Our women plant, harvest, and process food. It's important to exploit this power to the full. We must look back and read the history of the contribution of our women to the development of this country. We in Nigeria cannot afford to accept gender limitation in a country where we have such numbers, and where by 2020 we hope to be one of the leading countries of this world. We women must contribute to that. Since we are as much human beings as men, we as women are entitled to share with them the attributes of freedom and equality. But it will not happen to us on a platter of gold because of our gender history. But we must use all our resources to ensure that we transcend gender limitations in all their forms. It is a continuous battle, but we can win if we exploit all our potentials to the full. As women, we should remind ourselves of one of our Yoruba proverbs, and there are similar ones in other parts of this country. It says, bí ọkùnrin réjò, bí obìnrin pa, kò sí nǹkan, kéjò ká sì kú ni. If a man sees a snake and a woman kills it, it doesn't really matter. What is important is that the snake should die. What our culture is telling us is that the achievement of the public welfare, the work at hand, is what is important, not who does it. Gender discrimination should not come into play when we are seeking for our welfare. And our people right from the past, before the discussion of gender became an issue in arrogating responsibilities to male and female, have always been aware of me. We women must reject any limitation by gender which threatens our right to perform as well as male folks in these countries.
Panelists weighed in on the topic of discourse and also suggested ways women can participate and improve the nation's socioeconomic space.
When you look in the mirror, who do you see? That's your biggest enemy and your biggest limiting factor. You are a product of what you perceive in your head to be. I have either been fortunate or unfortunate to always get a man's job. I don't know why. Maybe I sound husky. I don't know. The truth of the matter is, you are what you think you are, and you can do what you think you can do. You are also limited by what you think you are limited by. I was Rwanda's first chief legal officer. Olumide is here, he can attest to it. I was the first female Director General Lands in Ogun State, third female Commissioner for Agriculture, and currently the first female Commissioner for Urban and Physical Planning. By the nature of my job, I'm on the field every single day. And you see, you can't be scared of the little things like the sun. Oh, I don't want to burn my skin. Yeah, they sell sunblock, so buy the cream and rub it. And buy a huge hat. I have this silly hat I wear when I'm at work, and I actually just don't care what I look like. The job has to be done. Otherwise, the next guy who's not half as competent or as educated as you is going to do it and is going to get it done much better, much faster than you're able to do. Therefore, you need to win yourself mentally and believe you actually can do it.
I believe that there are gender limitations, but as Mrs. Shokefun has said, they are primarily in your mind. I think what we need to do, therefore, is to help people to see who is in the mirror. You remember the wicked stepmother, the queen? She kept saying, "Am I the fairest of them all?" She was asking somebody, "Is she the fairest of them all?" So what we need to do, I think, is to help people to see that they are the fairest of them all. Because and this is why I say that there are gender limitations and they affect us, because they affect how we perceive ourselves. And that is why mentoring is so important, because you can help people to see that they're the fairest of them all when they look in that mirror. It's not something, it also comes with doing and believing that you can do. And then as you do, you continue to say, I did that, so I can do the next thing.
How can we have a nation where the most significant, the critical ingredient is missing in decision making, in policy making, whether economic, political, cultural, social, they're missing? We ourselves are our limitations. And until we start to see ourselves as the most important ingredient, then we can't blame the world. Yes, the world will place limitations on us, but what is our role in breaking those barriers? We must rise up to break those barriers. Gender equality, or I like to say gender integration, it's a moral imperative. And the truth is that the time for definition is gone. I strongly believe we know our worth, we know our value, we know our significance, we know what we bring to the table. We must begin to take action from today.
There are definitely barriers, but the thing is, I think it's very important that we change our mindsets about how we look at some of the roads we want to travel. If you fail on your own terms, fail trying, but let it not be because some stereotypes said it's not for women, and then you wouldn't give it a try. So I think there are definitely barriers, but some of them are things that we decide to believe about ourselves and about what we can do and our potentials.
As everyone else has said, it's partly about our own mindset, but it's also about the mindset of those that we interact with and the men that we interact with. And interestingly enough, the first interaction of many men and where they learn a lot of things is from their mothers and from the women in their lives. Involve them in the dialogue and involve them in understanding the change that they need to make to help make the change that we need to see. At the end of the day, even though we have gotten to leadership positions, the reality is, and someone said it earlier, the power in many instances still remains with men. We're 47% of management, but oftentimes we're in staff positions. We're not in the leading positions or the line positions. So that's where we have to be, and the barrier to getting there is often an attitudinal one of men around us, but also the women around us. The second thing that's been mentioned is mentorship. And I'm one of these people that believe that it's not about women necessarily mentoring other women. Anybody can be your mentor. And I've probably had more male mentors than I've had female mentors, but what's important is I've seen women who have achieved, and seeing and showing our male children and our women children, female children, that we do achieve is critical, and showing that mentorship and that it can be done.
Bashira Odunewu, Chiamaka Obekwe, and Mercy Akamo all speak on their takeaways and learning points from the event.
This has been a really wonderful event. I mean, as a lady in an executive capacity, I think we need more of these kind of events, maybe not only on International Women's Day. It's been very good to hear how women can actually break that glass ceiling. It really doesn't exist. It's only in our mind. And when I looked at the audience here, you know, a lot of them are like young ladies, up and coming workers. And for some of them, they really kind of don't know how far they can go. So an event like this makes them to look at people who have achieved, and they can also know that, look, these are women who have done so much, and all you need is actually a straightforward focus, not because you're a woman, but because you can do it. There is no difference, apart from maybe biological. We all have, I don't want to say maybe more intelligent sometimes, because I know the men would not like to hear that, but at the end of the day, there's nothing they can do that we can't do. It's just that we have some restrictions which we need to get off our mind. And I think it was very good for them to see like a very wonderful panel telling everybody what is possible.
Basically, I've learned a lot, and it just impacts me to be bolder as a woman, because there's a lot we can do if we all come together. And basically, like, the world is waiting for us. We don't need men to validate us. We don't need anybody to tell us we are powerful. We know we are powerful, and we just need to go out the world and, you know, exude greatness and basically do great things.
It's pretty comforting to know that you can be really all that you want to be. You can actually be every single thing in terms of your career life and all that. And even if people call you different names because you're a successful, ambitious woman, it's not a bad thing, you know. So there's nothing wrong with being you and living up to your full potential. So yeah, it was very timely for me, because as a young professional and who is also a lady, it's good to know that there are women who have lived this truth and who are willing to also share their experience, their what I would call best practice. So yes.
For Mrs. Ronke Shofekun, Commissioner for Urban and Physical Planning, Ogun State, it is time for the women to be assertive and break through the stereotypes to contribute to national development.
I think where a lot of women feel is they also don't set clear-cut targets for themselves. They just go with the flow. Oh, I got a job in the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Some people can't even articulate it. They don't know. Do you want mid-management? Do you want, all the way to the top? They don't know. Sometimes it's about the pay, which is not the number one reason people change employment, by the way. It's about how they're treated, how they're made to feel in their workplaces. So it's good to have more interactions of this nature. But the one point I didn't have the opportunity to make is I heard a lot about mentoring. As good as it is not an end in itself. It's a means, it's an assist, but it is not a solution. So people shouldn't think, oh, once I have a mentor, all my problems are solved. No. It could actually even compound your problems. Compound to the extent that it could throw things up that you never thought. But more importantly, I would say that the best outfit any woman can wear is her self-confidence.
From the analysis, it is clear that if the women renew their mindset and determine to break through perceived gender limitations with hard work, dedication, self-development, and strategic collaborations amongst themselves, the Nigerian socio-economic space will have no choice but allow them play an integral part in the transformation of the nation.